What were the stories of Maroon communities in Latin America? Imagine escaping the harsh chains of slavery and finding a new life in the wildest parts of the land. That's what many enslaved Africans did during the colonial era in Latin America. They formed communities called maroons, which means they built their own free spaces in remote areas like mountains, forests, or along coastlines. These places were hard for colonial authorities to reach, so the maroons could live without fear of being captured or enslaved again. In Latin America, these communities became symbols of resistance. For example, in Panama, a leader named Bayano, who was from the Mandinka ethnic group, led a rebellion in 1552. He created Maroon villages in the lowlands and even negotiated with Spanish authorities for some freedom. Around the Gulf of Honduras, groups like the Mosquito Sambu escaped from slave ships and mixed with indigenous peoples. They became fierce fighters and raided Spanish settlements to protect their independence. In the Caribbean, Maroons played a big role in fighting colonial powers. The Garifuna people, who are descendants of Maroons from St. Vincent, were forced to move to the coast of Honduras in the late 1700s. They kept their language, music, and traditions alive. In Jamaica, famous Maroon leaders like Nanny and Captain Cudjoe fought against the British. They even signed treaties that recognized their right to live freely and govern themselves. These agreements helped Maroon communities stay independent for many years. In Colombia, a community called San Basilio de Palenque was founded in the early 1600s by Bencos Biojo, an escaped slave. It became the first legally recognized free town for Africans in the Americas. The town had elders who made decisions and kept African traditions alive. These communities didn't just resist, they also helped shape the society around them by challenging the system of slavery and colonial control. Despite efforts by colonial governments to crush them, Maroon communities often stayed strong and maintained their independence. They disrupted the economy of slavery and showed that enslaved Africans could fight for their freedom. Their stories are a vital part of Latin American history, showing resilience and the fight for dignity. They also helped preserve African culture, music, and traditions that are still part of Latin American culture today. These communities reminded us how courage and community can stand up against oppression and keep the spirit of freedom alive.